coordinates. That is what I came to know recently. So I
Okay.
couldn't. I told my people also to go and talk to someone because Mawad is just on opposite side of the road. It's just opposite side.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
was.
Very nice.
So I felt that I'd connect to them, but somehow
Yeah,
you'll
if you
just
can
give
do
me.
that, it is nice. Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll send you all the details to you. I'll send you all the
Yeah, if you
details,
can
and
get
then you can connect.
the principal or whoever was I think she was the owner that time. I don't remember her now. But her daughter was my classmate, so I'd love to
Okay,
connect up with her. Maybe I'd love to.
absolutely.
Maybe one of these days, I can plan a visit there also if required.
Please come. Please come. Please come.
So
See, we connect to a lot of people. We always say because we are in the foothills. So just
yeah, yeah,
behind your school,
yeah,
the entire range of the hills are there, right?
yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
then from there, it's very close by. So you are most welcome whenever you come to Shiliguri. Do
Sure,
connect
sure,
me. Okay, I'll ensure that at least these basic things are taken care of. Should not be a
sure, sure.
problem.
I used to stay in Ashram Para. I don't know where. It's very close to maybe where you
Ashrampada,
are.
no, Ashrampada is a little far off from this place.
Ah,
But even then, Shiliguri is only about, if you look at the
yeah, yeah,
radius of
small.
Shiliguri from Venach, it is only 5 kilometers.
Yeah,
So it will be only 2, 3 kilometers only. So that should not be a problem.
no worries.
So I think people are just warming up.
Sure,
We
sure,
will wait for another 5 minutes and then we will start. Okay?
sure, sure.
Okay. Acha, one point, Sandeep, I wanted to share with you.
Yes.
We had, just to give you a brief, because I think it's important, because you wanted who are the people. So we had sent around 576 emails were sent to all other corporates. They are the ones, they are the HR heads and HR leads and all. So yesterday night at the 5 o'clock, we had sent that after our discussions with you.
Okay.
And we have around 20% of them who have opened it. So I think from there, you'll also have some audience. And I've also connected to some of the guys from TCS also who work with us very actively. So they might also be there.
If you would want to organize any workshops there, you can let me know. I'll be
I'll
happy to.
definitely
I'll happy to kind of do something both for corporates and for students. We can definitely
see
do that.
corporate wise, you will not get much in Shiliguri. I
Okay.
sitting here I'm connected to across India. All this is Oberoi and all grand, all this Lila Palace and all this hospitality
Isn't
big name.
isn't it that in Siliguri also you have a lot of BPOs now?
No. We had a few things coming up, but that went off actually.
Oh,
Because Siliguri, you will not have too much of it there. But Siliguri is booming now. Gradually, it is coming to some sort of its, it is coming to some extent. It is coming up to its, but then it is ultimately at the end of the day tea and tourism only. But
yeah.
here, workshops are important for mainly for our students and this MBAs and all. So those they will require a little bit of
You
it.
have
So
a
I
business
will.
school. You have an MBA program.
We don't have. We have plans. We have plans to start MBA program because master degree will require a different sort of an infra. We are already this year. We have already got AICT approved BBA. BBA has been approved by AICT. Just
So
this year we have started it.
Let me know if you need any help on the MBA side.
Definitely.
We can figure a way out where we could maybe help you with the faculty and all of that.
Absolutely. And I would be requiring it. I would definitely be requiring it. We are planning for a big move now. Maybe another by this year end we will have a lot of new initiatives coming to fruition. Actually, let's see how it comes up. Now that I'm connected to you, I will always want you to be with us time to time at various points in
Sure,
time.
sure. Anytime.
And yes, in a far more more active way. I'll see how it can be done. Okay.
Sure.
So that's how it is. So I think we have just struck 11. Here we are, Mr. Avinandan Day. Hi, sir. This is Sudip here, and Mr. Sandeep is already there. Sandeep Kochhar.
Hi,
If you can
Abhinandan.
just raise your
How are
hands.
you?
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Just to give you a brief about Avinandan Day, Avinandan is basically a very young guy who is basically spearheading a lot of efforts from IIAS. A lot of this thinking that you can see that we are doing is because of him. He's the one who is leading the show. And more, he's trying to bring in a lot of this industry academia collaborations to fruition. And people like you who are actually think tanks of so many organizations, coaching, handholding such big people, you are the ones whom we are looking forward to for help and various sort of collaborations. But that we will do later. Gradually we'll get into. But today is the beginning. I would leave it to Abhinandan. Abhinandan is basically a foreign bred, and he is the US guy, US bred guy. So he's here in India for the last about half a decade, and now he's completely ingrained within everything that IIS is doing right now. So I would leave this to Abhinandan. If you can please talk to him, sir, and start the conversation, and then let Sandeep take over, and you can start interacting with him as you feel is, and then I will interact later at the end of the day. Okay.
Mr. Bhattacharya, I'll just request you to give a brief introduction of Sandeep to our audience here today, and after that, I will continue.
Okay, Sandeep is one of the thought leaders of because I know about him from Reva days. I have seen him once with Sandeep. Will be remember Shinu Avi, Dr. Shinu Avi
Right.
from Reva. She knows you, right? So I know him from that point. Okay, he's one of the LinkedIn top voices. He's a C-suite coach who handles a lot of your top business magnets, top captains of the industry. He has got the biggest strength that rather the biggest ability that he brings to the table is he's one of the finest storytellers I have seen. The way he writes, if you ever any of the students who are listening me, please go through all his in posts in LinkedIn. You will find what you mean by communication. Communicate, what does it mean? So he's one of the guys who defines a lot of what communication is all about, and in his way and all. He is now the CEO of Blewminds. Blewminds is something that he has himself incorporated, and he is leading it. And he is a part of many academic institutions. For instance, Reva, as I told you, he also had been part of many academic institutions wherein he gives a lot of his expertise. So it's difficult to sum up Sandeep in very few words, but I've tried to do it. Rest, Sandeep, your magic should now take over.
Thank you. And I think thank you for inviting me. I used to study in Harvard School, so when Professor Sudeep wrote to me, I thought, okay, I'll say yes because generally
Exactly. That's what
yes.
I realized once I went through your LinkedIn profile. That you are a son of the soil. You're a son of Siliguri. So it's a pleasure for us to have you here with our students at IIAS in Siliguri.
No, pleasure. Absolutely pleasure to be here. And today maybe I'll share a little bit about my journey also, but more importantly, I'll cover failures in a bit. And Abhinandan, we can maybe connect offline whenever you are free. We can think about what we can do for the students otherwise also.
Sure, that works.
So
I think I'll just start off with the session.
Yes.
So Sandeep, formal welcome from all of us here at IIAS. We don't have every day we are not lucky enough to have one of India's leading storytellers share his story with our students. So thank you once again. A brief introduction to IIAS. We are Eastern India's leading management college. We are offering hospitality and management programs, and this is a massive year for us because this is the 30th year of our celebrating our excellence in the education sector. So as an institution, from the very beginning, we have been built on the premise of employability and creating an innovation mindset in our students. It is our goal to make the students industry ready, and from day one, we ensured that we do that. And today's session is just one of these initiatives that we have in that same spirit, in the same direction. So today's topic, to all the audience that we have here, students, faculty members, and industry experts, today's topic is how to handle failure. And let me tell you that this topic is very close to us here at IIAS. Sandeep, as you might have noticed, on our logo we have we have a bird, and that's the phoenix. And it's a mythical bird which signifies reincarnation. I think you are well aware of that. So the legend has it that the phoenix rises from the ashes even after being consumed by the fire. It's a symbol of transformation, and not unlike what rising back up after facing a failure can feel like for a lot of us. And on a day-to-day basis, as a society, we talk about success a lot. And I think in our social context, especially in India, we are hardwired to fear failure. So
Yeah.
success at all costs is something that we are really, focused on. That's all we talk about is you have to be successful, you have to do well in your exams, you have to do well in your studies, you have to beat the person next to you. Your neighbor is doing better, you have to do better than that. Sharma ji ka beta wala concept.
Yes.
So, often this comes in today's times, especially it comes at the cost of, one's passions, one's happiness, and worst of all, one's mental health can be affected because of this. So I think, it's important what we are discussing here today about failure. Success stories are, all around us. We have books on success, but there are very few books on failure, I believe. And, even today we romanticize success. We talk about Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, college dropouts who have built big companies, and, we sort of romanticize the entire concept of success without actually going behind the scenes and learning what took to achieve that. So, we are all keen to, have an eye-opening session with you. And I will just, ask you to start off with, you know, your background. First of all, as I read through your LinkedIn profile, you're an IIM Bangalore alumnus. And I
Yes.
think, most people would define that itself as being successful. Yet you talk of yourself as being a failure and even, you're proud about it, I might say. So how do you define failure and success? Could you just, walk us through that?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And thank you so much, Abhinandan, and thanks, Sudeep, also for organizing this. So in 1983, I was in Siliguri. So I was studying in, I think so, that time, kindergarten or grade one, I think so. So as a kid, I was a very creative person and I used to really love to write, and I enjoyed poetry. I still have my grade one book from Mahabhat High School. My notepad is still there with me. And whenever I feel that, I'm losing my way, I go back and refer to it, because it was in very clear handwriting. I have written whatever I wanted to write, and more often than not, we lose our way in life because I think we lose ourselves. So I'll share a little bit about that. So after that, I did my school. I went away from Siliguri, and my father was in a transferable job, so he got transferred to Patna, closer to Bengal only. But essentially, that's where I did my schooling. After schooling, I think it was in grade 12, 11, 12, when I again, I think I started to do very bad in my grade 11th. I failed in 3, 4 subjects, and I think I started to lose my way there again. But somehow in 12th it went off well. 10th, my 10th marks were very good. 11th was very bad. 12th was okay. After that, I did not really know what do I want to do in my life. So I think the journey really began from there. In the next 5, 6 years, I went into did engineering. I struggled in engineering. I failed a lot in engineering, and then somehow I managed to land a job as a software engineer. I first became a computer teacher. Before that, I used to fit. I don't know if anybody has gone to Delhi. If you've gone to Delhi, there is a place called Janpath in Delhi. I used to actually fit cameras, those CCTV cameras in shops, and that is where the journey began. And I started to kind of move my way up. I used to do tuitions. When my father used to run a business, which went, he was working first, then he quit. He started a business which did not do well, and all our money was gone. So we basically became bankrupt in, I would say, 1998. That was the time I was also not very clear what I wanted to do. I was hunting for jobs and all of that. So somehow I managed, that entire episode and that period. I was very confused as a person because I never got proper direction in my life, and so that was a interesting period. But after that, once I got, once, uh, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
Hello.
it's clear, absolutely clear,
Okay.
absolutely clear.
Perfect. So after I got, that entire period, after I uh, got into as a software engineer, that's where the journey really started, and I started to kind of do stuff, and move ahead. Eventually, after a few years of struggle, I landed up into IBM, and before that, I used to work for HCL. So I basically, that's where the journey started. And then slowly I moved to better organizations. I worked for Honeywell. for some time, and then after that I kind of moved into a not-for-profit because I used to work for IT for some time, and then after that I tried to do something radically different. I moved into not-for-profits, and I started to kind of, I wanted to always do social service and help people and society, and worked there for quite some time, did quite well. Then after that I joined an edtech startup as a CTO. So I was the chief technology officer of an edtech startup back in 2012 when edtech was not there. So I've been associated with the education sector for from 2006 onwards. So that's been the real journey so far, and how it's been. So yeah, I think that is a little bit about how it began. Now in 2015, I started to re-look at my life. Why am I doing what I'm doing? So most of my life was really focused on money. I only wanted to earn money, and because I had experienced a lot of difficulties financially in our childhood, so the focus was clearly about how do I kind of make more money. So in 2015, I quit my job and I said, okay, I'm going to stop living for money, and I'm going to start doing something which I really really like to do. So that is where the journey really started, and I think in 2017 is when I started to think about what do I want to do. I ran a couple of startups; they didn't do very well. I failed in a lot of businesses, lost a lot of money, and then in 2017 I asked myself this question: what do I really want to do in life? Now, as a kid, I was very good at writing, and I used to really enjoy poetry, writing, creative writing. And in our times, we didn't have too many options to pursue those kind of careers. In fact, I got an assignment when I was studying. I got an assignment to write a book, and though I started off on that, but I didn't really continue it because I was always fearful that what if I am not able to make money out of this whole thing. So in 2017, 16, I started off, my ventures and all. But 17 is when I really said, okay, what do I really love to do? And that was always writing. So I started writing in 2017, and I think it was my mom's blessings. I went viral, and the rest is history. But essentially, I started to write every day. But I was doing it more for the joy of writing. I started to hit thousands of views, and then 10,000 views, and millions of views. And then, it was like 60, 50 million views a year is what I was hitting. And from that, I started to kind of move into the area of how can I coach and train people and make a difference to people's lives. So that's been the kind of journey. But I think one aspect of failure that I would like to highlight with to all of you is that whenever we are going through a tough period in our life, which is not something you want to kind of go through, one interesting aspect of failure is that if you think that you are doing really bad in your life, and if you think that you are failing in your life, then you will get deeper into failure. You should always look back on failure, not while in it, but after it's passed. So, for example, let's say if you're studying and your marks are not coming well, or let's say you're really working hard, but things are not going right, or you're not able to find a job, or uh, while you are going through this whole episode, you may find that things cannot. Could you mute? I think somebody is talking in the background. Sudeep, if you could just mute
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah. Everybody should mute their phone. There should not be any sound, please. Yeah, Sandeep, please go on.
No, I think what has happened is Sandeep himself has gone on mute actually.
Yeah, you have gone on mute. Yeah.
Sandeep, any issues? You're still on mute actually.
Can you hear me?
There is an echo. There is an echo.
Okay, can you hear me now? Is it clear?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely fine. Yeah, absolutely fine.
Perfect. Okay, good. So I was sharing about failure, that when we are going through failure or a tough period, a lot of times we lose hope, and that is because we are weak from inside. The only reason why people are not able to overcome failure is because we are not strong enough. And that strength really comes from your upbringing and your character. So most of us are a weak character, just like me, and hence we get become more weaker when we are going through a very tough period in life. Now, how do you build strength? Because that's the only way to overcome failure. Now, one part of overcoming failure is you start to enjoy what you're doing. So, when I was failing in my life for many years, so I've experienced almost 14 years of going through failures in my life at various points. And what I've realized is that when you start to enjoy what you're doing, irrespective of the outcome. Now, many times we are all struggling in our lives because we are expecting an outcome, and when the outcome doesn't come the way we want it, that's when the problem really starts to happen. So, our own expectation, our focus is on outcomes, not on actions. So, I would say that if you can start getting attached to your actions and enjoying your actions, and enjoying the journey rather than looking at the outcome, which is the destination, because 90% of the time we are all spending in the journey only. So let's say suppose you want to go to Darjeeling from Siliguri. Obviously it's a journey that you'll have to undertake. But the interesting part is that when you reach there, you may just spend very little time, and maybe even come back. But really, the journey is what is more important, because it's the one that gets you there to the destination. So focusing on processes or the actions that you are all involved in is very important. And looking back at failure with a smile, that's the best part of life. Now we are not able to do that, and many of us, in fact, I also went into a lot of clinical depressions 3 times. That is because I was not strong inside and emotionally a very weak person, and hence I could not really come out of it. So, if you ask me what is the best way to do it, I think the best way would be that you start to look back at failure with a smile, rather than starting to really feel bad about what's happening. Now there are four responses. Now most of the failure comes from fear only. Now fear has got four responses. The first response is fight response. That is, you fight the situation, which is basically means that suppose you have a very difficult situation in life, you start to fight it. You start to battle with it. However, this is not a functional response. The second response to fears is also because it's survival, right? It's just like, for example, if for a minute, if you just think about it, if a tiger comes in front of you, some of you will try to fight the tiger, some of you will try to run away, running away, or even, and some of you will try to climb a tree to avoid, and there'll be others who will try to maybe even please the lion by giving him something to eat. So fight, flight, freeze, and fawn are four responses to fears, and the fears is the one that leads to failure. Now, what should one do? And maybe you all can share your thoughts around this also. But essentially, if you look at it, none of these four responses are functional responses. Because, and they're not functional responses for only one reason. Because if you try to fight something, and let's say that thing does not really work out, it's not going to really help you solve the situation. Fighting for a long time, you may lose hope, and fighting too hard, you may also get tired. You know, it's like that. Now, the other part is the other more important part that is there is basically, other than the response that I talked to you about, is the flight response, which is a lot of people do that. We try to avoid situations, we try to run away from situations. If you're fearful of facing public, then you start to kind of run away from any situation where you need to be able to address a lot of people. So different kinds of fears we all have, right? Now this response of avoiding or trying to run away really does not help also,
And why does it not help? Because if you're trying to run away from a situation, the situation will always come back to you. For example, let's say you're trying to run away from a person who always troubles you. If you don't, if you try to run away, you will end up attracting that person more than anything else. So, and if you also avoid that person in your life, let's say you want to avoid hurt in your life, or some kind of a fear, what will happen is the same fear is going to keep coming back to you. And that's the interesting part about fear that you will see. Now the third response that we spoke about, fight, flight. Now the third is freeze. Freeze response happens when when you see a lion and you just freeze there. You don't know what to do, and it's called an amygdala hijack. Now freeze response also in many ways leads to, for example, some people may get depressed. That's also a freeze response. Basically, you don't know how to come out of the situation and you kind of submit and you just let go of the strength that you have inside you. And then negative thoughts keep coming inside your head and basically you give in to the situation. The last one is the fawn response, which basically means you try and please somebody. You can maybe please the tiger by giving him something to eat. Or, if somebody is troubling you, try to please that person. So these are the four responses. Now, all these four responses are dysfunctional responses. When I say dysfunctional, what do I mean? I mean that these are not responses that will help you emerge from the situation. Now, you will say that, okay, how is it that fighting a problem cannot help you? Because most of the time, when you fight the problem, you remain in the problem. And when you remain in the problem, you are not able to break out of the problem. So that is really one of the most important things that you will figure out, that now which is the response that you should be doing. Now I'm going to ask this question to all of you, and maybe you all can put in the chat. If fight, flight, freeze and fawn responses do not work in your life, so how can you deal with a problem or a failure in your life? If you can just put a message on the chat, so that I can understand what you are all thinking. You can all just put your, or if anybody wants to speak also, you can. Um, Anybody has an answer? Like if you have a problem in your life or if you have a failure in your life, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. I'm saying these four responses don't work. So which one, what would
Any
you do?
any
Yes.
student who wishes to ask a question, please feel free to ask a question, or you can type it in the please type it in the chat box.
Yeah, or you can just give me the answer to this. How would you deal with a problematic situation in your life? What would you do? And I'm saying that there are four responses: fight, you fight a situation; you freeze, you try to run away from it; you also take a flight, you avoid the situation. What could be other ways you could look at it? Anybody wants to just put your, you can put it in the chat here.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
Good morning.
So,
Yeah, Sana, please.
I think it's depend in the situation. So, what kind of the problems are?
Can you
But
switch on your video and speak? It will be easier, Sana. Sana,
So,
well,
switch on your video. Switch on your video. It becomes easy to communicate.
so, s- sir, I can't.
You can't, yeah? Okay, fine. I am just switching off. Okay. And then ask the question. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sir,
yes, go ahead, Sana.
sir, like it is depend on the situation ना. Like अगर मुझे मतलब ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम है तो मुझे उसे डील करना चाहिए तो मैं डील करूंगी और कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स को इग्नोर भी कर सकती हूँ ना.
हाँ, तो देखो, इग्नोर इग्नोर करने से क्या होगा, वो प्रॉब्लम जाएगी नहीं. सो मैं ये आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ कि व्हाट आर द वेज, एनी अदर मेथड एनीबडी नोज, कि क्या क्या कर सकते हैं, व्हाट कैन वी डू अगर फाइट नहीं कर सकते, फाइट करने से प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, और क्या वे हो सकता है.
तो सर प्रॉब्लम से डील करेंगे.
हाँ, कैसे,
कैसे
अंडरस्टैंड
कैसे
वही तो क्वेश्चन है.
करेंगे.
कैसे डील करोगे?
So anybody else wants to answer? So fight, flight, freeze and fawn are responses जो नहीं चलते हैं. So कैसे problem? So Sana is saying कि problem से deal करेंगे. So the question is कि कैसे deal करेंगे? What is the best way to deal with failure or a problem in your life?
So,
That's
uh, good morning,
bolo.
sir.
Money.
Good morning. Bolo.
So,
Aditya.
what we can do is by changing our mindset that yeah, we can achieve it or we can do it. Doesn't matter how the big challenge or the failure is, like by changing or setting a mindset that yeah, we can do it matters.
Very good. That is a good way of doing it. But question is, how will you change your mindset? What is the method to do it? That's what I'm trying to ask.
By sir bringing positivity in small things, right? While from the point while we wake up, like we can assume today's such a sunny day, we can do many things. We can put our shoes outside, we can make our bed arrange, we can just start the day with positivity, because of that small and small things would come bring positivity to us, and we will be motivated to do things in our day-to-day work.
Wonderful. Anybody else wants to share?
Excellent. Very nice, Aditya. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Please feel free. You guys should not be, you should not be freezing. You should be able to speak.
Okay, so this is the 4 responses that we spoke about: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And all the 4 don't work really, because these are the only 4 methods that we all deal with life. Now, in many ways, dealing with the problem, fighting with the problem is what most of us do. Many of us will avoid and take a flight and run away. Many of us will get into depression, or we'll just give up, sit in our rooms and start crying. That is also in many ways freeze. And fawn is basically you try to maybe find somebody who will help you, right? So these are the methods that are there, but these don't work really when you're dealing with fear, and more importantly with failure also. I'll come to how we'll do it, but I'll just explain a couple of things around fear. So basically, fear is basically a threat to your survival, right? So, which is why these 4 responses come in, because you are scared that something bad is going to happen to you. Sadly, most of the people who start off in their lives, as children, we are very fearless. But as we keep growing up, the fear just gets more and more, because, you have an expectation that you will succeed and time is running out. And that's called FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. That really starts to play out, and we start to really find it very tough. But let me just see if I can, before going ahead, let me answer this question. Um, so let's look at this fill in the blanks here, and this will give an answer to how will we deal with our fears and failures. Um, can anybody tell me what will be this first person empathy? I'm sure you would have studied this in kindergarten or grade 1. First person empathy is empathy to whom? Anybody? Just try and
Uh,
fill in the blank. Yeah.
Sandeep, I don't think the slide is changing actually. We are
Oh, is
we
it?
are seeing the opening slide. Yes, we are seeing the
Oh, okay.
opening
Just
slide.
hold on. Just hold on. Let me just see if I can share it. Okay, just hold on. Okay, is it visible now? Can you all see
Yes,
it?
yes, it is.
So the first, on the left side, you see first person empathy, and anybody can share what do you think is the fill in the blanks for this first one. First person empathy is empathy to whom? And you can put it in the chat, or just unmute and say the answer. It's an easy one, and you can see the pictures will give you the answers also. Anybody?
Self.
Self, absolutely. First person empathy is empathy to self. Empathy basically means that can I get into the shoes of someone else? And in this case, someone else is me. So many times, what happens is I don't even know what I'm going through. Especially with hurt and emotions, many times we are not even in touch with our emotions. And that's why first person empathy is extremely important. Now, first person empathy is also self love and self care. And many times you will find that people don't love themselves enough. Why? Because we have been, our mindset of being brought up, at least in my life also, middle class mindset is that look, you should not love yourself enough. You should love other people. You have to do things for other people. That is absolutely the wrong method of life, because if a person who doesn't love himself or herself cannot love other people. And we have been brought up with this notion that you have to be selfless, but to become selfless you have to first be selfish. So, for example, if you want to become a person who donates and lots of money, you have to first earn the money. Similarly, if you want to become selfless and help other people, you should first be selfish. And in our society, selfishness is considered bad. Absolutely wrong. If you don't love yourself enough, if you don't care for yourself enough, nobody is going to love you enough. And then, since your well is empty, you can't give anybody with an empty well. If you don't have water in your own house, how will you give it to someone else? That's first person empathy. Now, the second is a second person empathy. Now, if anybody could fill in the blanks, second person empathy is empathy to whom?
The parents.
Sorry, parents, you said? What?
Yes, sir. Family, parents.
Okay, no. Well, it's not just parents, it's anybody who you're dealing with. So, second person empathy
The
is,
other side.
yes, empathy to others, right? Which basically means that if somebody else is going through some problem or situation, can I get into their shoes and understand what they are going through? This is empathy to others. But remember, if I don't understand empathy to self, I can never understand empathy to others. Now, you will be also surprised that India has produced very poor leaders. In fact, in our corporate world, we hardly have good leaders. I mean, you'll have maybe Tatas or some few of them you would hear of Ratan Tata or Jamshedji Tata or even some of the Birla family. But the number of leaders in corporate world are very, very few. And the reason is very simple. We lack empathy. That is the only reason. And this empathy is available in abundance in our own selves, but we don't really go deep in. Now let's try to fill in the blanks for the third one, which is a third person empathy. Can anybody guess what would this empathy be? To whom? And I'm sure you would have studied first person, second person, third person in childhood. It's the same first, second, third person for empathy also. So third person empathy is empathy to whom?
Who remind us the
Sorry, old
what's
man.
the problem?
Old man who has a problem. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. Who
Okay.
remind us the issue
Okay.
what we have done in the past?
Okay. Done in the past? No, not really. So third person empathy. And
Yes,
so,
Nima, you want to say?
yeah.
Nima, you have raised your hand. Do you want to speak?
Yeah, anybody else wants to share what would be this third person and the answer is in the picture also. Third person empathy is empathy to whom?
Sir,
Who's
empathy,
suffering
empathy
from
for poor.
Oh God, lot of you. Yes, please go ahead. One of you can begin. Alphabetical order. Yes.
Okay, Manjulika, you can speak.
Yes, Manjulika.
who is suffering from any issues.
Okay, good try. Anybody else wants to share? I think there were some other girls also who were saying. Go ahead.
Sir, empathy for poor.
Poor. Okay, good. But it's a little bit, you're getting there, but you're not at the right answer. It's close by. Anybody else? Empathy too? And which is very important today because which is why we're not able to deal with failures. Anybody else wants to share?
Sir, empathy for
Or
whom? For those who need the help.
Not need help. Okay, good. But it's something else. Anybody else wants to try?
They are like jobless people who work in another way to get the money.
Okay, very good. Okay, but what does it actually mean? Anybody else? And can you all mute yourself if you're not speaking? There's a lot of background noise here. Thank you.
other people who make fun of us.
Okay, other people who make fun of us. Now, see, in this, the answer is in the picture. In this picture, you see, what do you see?
So
You see
empathy towards the environment.
environment. Okay. In this picture, you will see this old man trying to play the music.
So
Uh,
empathy is the person who is old but still working hard.
okay, very good. Close to the answer. Uh, Now, anybody else wants to try?
Yes, sir. So empathy to any living being, like not only the people, the animals, plants, everyone.
Okay, very good. The answer is in the picture only, actually. If anybody else wants to try, you can try. The interesting thing is, I have asked this question thousands of times with thousands of groups. Nobody gets the answer right.
Empathy
So,
to who help us.
okay, you're close, but that's not the right answer. Anybody else wants to share?
Empathy towards the unemployed.
Okay, it's all close, but it's not the right answer. If you see that this picture, it's basically a picture showing you something. What is it showing you? Anybody wants to try? So actually the answer is very, very simple. Here what you're seeing is you know, some place, some point in time, you see an old man playing music, raising money for his food, right? Basically, he is, in many ways, he's begging, but essentially he's trying to provide a service to someone. What is this? This is basically a situation. Third person empathy is empathy to situation. Only when we have empathy to a situation that can I distance myself from the situation. Now, from like we are looking at this old man, we have distanced ourselves from this old man. If we get into the old man's shoes, then we will start to talk about all the answers you have said, which is second person empathy. Or if you get into first person, you will say, okay, he is helping other people. That is second person empathy. If I said that, look, I feel very sorry for him, that would be first person empathy. Whereas third person empathy is when I look at this situation and this picture and I say, this is a situation that's happening, this person is doing this. I'm not emotionally attached to it, but at the same time, I understand what the situation is. Now, many times with failure, what happens, it's very sad, but we get attached to failure also because we start to really feel so bad that we are not able to do it. And hence we are attached to the outcome, and hence we are attached to the failure, which is why most people are not able to overcome failures because we are so badly wanting success. And success comes not because you want to escape failure, but it will always come through failure. If you do not go through failures, you will never become successful in your life. Now, when you're going through failures, if you want to run away from it, fight it, run away, do whatever, it's not going to help you. Only it will help you when you start to kind of enjoy your actions, but more importantly, realize that this is just a phase. It's a phase, it will come, it will go. It's like a picture here. It's just a phase. The moment you look at it from a third person view, your life will change. And this is the simple answer to most problems in our lives. The moment you are in the problem, it's first person, you won't be able to solve it. You'll make wrong decisions. A lot of times people make wrong decisions because their mind says something else, their heart says something else. In fact, most of our wrong decisions happen because we are using the head and the heart to kind of take our decisions. That's first person empathy. Second person empathy is when I'm taking decisions thinking how would the other person do it, or I take advice from somebody else. That will also not work. Third person empathy will be when I use my intuition to solve the problem. That's third person empathy. It's coming from somewhere else. But that is how you look at situations, and that is how you overcome situations. I hope this helps all of you understand it. But I'll just share with you now. These could be some of the fears that most of us go through, right? Fear of embarrassment. People will laugh at us. I mean, I used to be very scared of people laughing at me. Can you all mute yourselves, please? I can still hear some background noise. Fear of competition, in fact, there is no competition in this world, is what I found. After I started writing, every day, I realized there was nobody who was writing every day. I started writing 1 hour every day, 2 hours every day, then 3 hours, 4 hours every day. Basically, there is no competition at the top. There is only competition when you are just sitting and maybe trying some things, but really not putting your 100% in it. So in the world, there is zero competition at the top. Actually, it's very easy at the top because, in fact, they say it's lonely at the top because the people who work really, really hard on themselves, there are very, very few people. And now when I'm coaching a lot of people, leaders and all, I realize everybody is struggling with the same issues. Feeling of low self-worth. I'm not good enough. What will happen? What will people think? All of that. All those things will then, start to play out. And, the fear basically then becomes right. Now, why do we go through these fears is because we've had not very good childhoods. our parents did not love ourselves in the way that they should have loved us. And for example, if you our parents, at least in my case, my parents were always telling me where I'm going wrong. My parents were also telling me I made a mistake, I'll not do well here, why did I do this? I mean, those are really the worst ways in which you can move yourself ahead in life. You can't move ahead in life if you have not been loved enough. Now what has happened, but what do you do with it now? Because let's say you've not been loved enough, what do you do with it now? The answer is very simple: self-love. If you've not been loved enough, please love yourself. That's the only way you can then feel good about yourself. And once you feel good about yourself, you can then move ahead in your life. So that's, I think if there's any question on the chat, Sudeep, if you can just pick up the questions, because I just can't see the chat right now. I'll, yeah.
Let me just check. Okay.
Yes.
The admin who is handling it should be able to
Okay.
send
Okay.
it. But
Perfect.
Sandeep, one question I wanted to have at this point,
Yes.
if you don't
Yes.
mind.
Yes.
See, this detaching oneself from this problem, looking at it from a distance, and then getting into self-love. Don't you think there is an element of a certain mindset and a philosophy in a certain person, changing the perspective towards life? Don't you think that is
Yes.
where the beginning is? If that is the case, suppose
Yes.
that's what you are saying, beginning of there. What is it that a person should do to achieve that? See, it is not so easy because we are always involved. Because we
Yes.
are always we are living in future always or in the past,
Yeah,
right?
the simple answer to that would be when you take I don't know how many of you have traveled by plane, or even if let's say you climb a mountain, from the top of the mountain, everything looks very small, right? I'm sure if you go to Darjeeling from there, Siliguri, I don't know if you can see Siliguri from there, but it'll look very small. So will also the houses. When you go by air, you start seeing the big buildings become so small that you could, maybe look at your finger and say, oh, this is so small. So I think the perspective can be changed when you rise above the problem. You don't
Okay.
fight the problem. You don't fight the problem. You don't get involved with the problem. You rise above the problem when you start seeing it from a different distance and you start thinking, oh, the problem is not so big. And that is the only difference that is. So it's basically the way you see the problem, which is why it's called third person. Can I
Mhm.
distance myself from the problem and see it from a 40,000 feet? Now, suppose, let's say I remember recently my professor, one of my professors, he is at IIT Chennai right now. And he mentioned how a student, got I think 89% marks in the first exam, the first year exam. And the student was so upset. It was a girl, and she was so upset that she actually committed suicide because she felt that she got 1 mark less and at least minimum 90% she should have got. Now, just look at it from a larger perspective in life. Do you think that 89 or 90% would have changed her life? Not really. Now,
True.
she was obviously caught in that whole thing because she felt that if she's got 89, not 90, this means she's not good. So,
Mm.
many times the way we look at the problem, and the problem becomes larger than life then. Whereas we have to make the problem smaller in many ways. So the
Mm.
only way would be to rise above the problem and not to fight with the problem or avoid it, or and the other way is basically, can I look at it from a third person and say, okay, does this really make a difference 10 years from now? What would really matter? Now, that does not mean that I start, saying everything will not matter and then I will
Mm.
not work hard at all. But, it is basically saying that when I am going through failure and it is becoming difficult for me, because most careers and most lives will go through failure. In fact, I have gone through 14 years, but there is a lot of research that everybody will have 7 to 14 years of failure in their lives, coming either at one go or in two goes. So we will all have to go through, situations in life which will not work according to how we want it. You want a very good job. Let's say you want a great placement. If you don't get it, what will happen? What is the way out, right? And if you want something in life, you want to become very successful, or people will start going ahead of you. Let's say all your classmates start to go ahead of you in their lives. If you keep comparing with them, you'll feel really horrible. So I was the last person to be placed out of my college, and I could not get a placement. And I had to give some 100 interviews before I got my first job. But over time, that didn't matter now. If I look back now, I smile at that. So when you're going through failure, the best way would be to, to look at it and say, okay, can I find what I can do well and I enjoy it? Once the failure is gone, then I only think it was a failure. If I get overwhelmed by the failure, that's when I will really fail then. And I won't be able to come out of it. So that's really, and this first, second, third person is extremely important for that reason. I hope I
Okay.
answered your question.
Yeah. Please.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
I just had a question because, in connection with this, we talk about, seeing it from a different, different view, probably, take a top level view of the situation and then do it. But, often when we are failing or when we have made a mistake and when we are in that rut, so called, it is not very easy to learn from our mistakes, right? Because, the decision making becomes clouded and, so how do you suggest, how do we come out of it? How do we go to achieve this stage of being at the higher level?
Excellent question. And the reason is very simple. We lack character and strength. Basically, we are all weak human beings. And when failure comes, it tests us. And since we are weak, we break. The only way is to build resilience. There's a beautiful philosophy called the Stoic philosophy, which you all must read about, which talks about that you start to really enjoy failure. So, I must share with you that in my first year after I became an entrepreneur, things were not working out the way I had thought. And after a year and a half, I started to really feel horrible because, I did a couple of startups and it didn't work. And then I started to say, okay, fine. Why don't I pursue learning rather than the outcome? And the moment I did that, my mindset changed. My mindset was, okay, I failed, great. What have I learned? Let me put that down. Amazing. Let's go to the next failure now. Bring it on. That's the whole method in which you can change, where you say, okay, I'm going to really enjoy this journey, irrespective of what it's in store for me. And I'm going to only go with the learning mindset. It's like this, when you go for interviews, I think a lot of you will start giving interviews, or you may have given interviews. You will fail the first few interviews and you will feel horrible about it. But I think what you have to see is, okay, what did I learn from this interview? So that learning mindset is very, very important, that in that situation, because see, the shift will happen only in that situation. After the failure has gone away, you are not going to change. You will only change. The opportunity to change is that very narrow failure, that whole instance of failure when you're going through it is the only time you can change yourself. In fact, which is why they say when very big, let's say if you have a life-changing event in your life, somebody passes away, or you fail miserably, or you go bankrupt, or you lose everything in your life, that is when people really become strong. And that is when people really become, build that resilience inside them. And that's when they change. So change does not happen unless you are put into a special circumstance. So I would say always look at it as a learning mindset. So, then what happened is I started to enjoy my failures. And that was really amazing, because then I was like saying, okay, fine, this has happened. Great. I've learned. Let's move to the next one. Let's move to the next. Now, this mindset is very difficult, especially if you're a weak person like me, who does not have, strength of character. But over time, then you start to realize that, look, it's just a passing phase. And also, I am now enjoying my journey. And the moment you start to enjoy the journey, what also happens is the universe starts to, I don't know if you all read the book called The Secret or the Abundance Philosophy. Basically, the abundance mindset is very, very simple. Abundance mindset is, if you are going to think about what do I want badly, you will never get it. In fact, the Shah Rukh Khan movies are all rubbish because they talk about this whole abundance mindset in a very different way. They say that the Kainat will help you to achieve all these things in your life. That will happen only when you're strong. When you're weak, you will never achieve what you want. And now what happens is, when I want something really badly in my life, the universe is basically, let's say, receiving a message. And let's assume universe is the whole globe or the whole humanity, and the humanity is waiting for what is your thought process. And your thought process is, I want something badly. The moment you want something badly, let's say money, let's say fame, recognition, desire, whatever you want, the universe receives this just the opposite. You want it badly because you don't have it. You don't have it because you don't deserve it. Now, the method to kind of break this pattern will be very simple. Start assuming you have it, which is what they say, fake it to make it. But I would not even say fake it to make it, but start thinking that, can I behave the way I would if I was successful? The moment you do that, there's a shift in the energy inside you. and the universe receives it, that look, this person already is behaving like he has it, so let's give it to him or her. And that is the whole method in which the human, the whole universe works. So therefore, those who are not running after anything will get amazing things in their lives, and those who are running after anything in their life will never ever get it. Now you may get it, but it will take very long. So for example, I must share with you that I have a dream to buy a house for my parents, or let's say I had a dream to become successful in my life. Every day I used to remind myself of my dream, work really hard and all of that. It took me some 20 years to get it. But the question is, the moment I shifted my energies towards saying, look, I'm not going to run away after anything. I'm going to, for example, I started writing, I started enjoying it. And within a few months I went viral, but I was not writing for becoming viral. Many times when we do something for an outcome, you will not get it. And that's the whole method. I hope that answers your question, which is a very good question on how to change the mindset.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Any other questions anybody else has? Is this clear? Because this is really the core of this entire thing on how do I really overcome failures using. Yeah.
Sir, first of all, you never say wrong in yourself. So first, actually, sir, what is the energy?
Energy. So energy basically means, see, all human beings, you have a soul inside you, right?
Yes, sir.
So the soul is energy. So now you have energy inside you and you vibrate at a particular energy. Now that energy vibration is dependent on how you are. Let's say your positive thoughts, then you will vibrate positively. If you have negative thoughts running inside your mind, so for example, if one side of your head is saying you're going to fail now, you're going to fail now. Another side is saying you're going to do well, you're going to do well. And suppose the failure energy starts to overtake you, then what will happen? You will fail only. If inside your head you keep thinking, oh my god, I will fail, I will go wrong here, I'll make a mistake, ये खराब हो जाएगा, ये गड़बड़ हो जाएगा, that will start to work out and play on your mind. Now, if you are allowing negative thoughts, negative emotions to come inside you, you will become more and more negative, and that is the energy at which you are vibrating. You're getting it now?
Yes, sir.
So the way you are thinking, the way you are feeling will determine the way your actions will be. Suppose, let's say I feel that, okay, I have to give this exam and I have not prepared very well, and I may get very bad marks in this exam. And now, even if the paper is easy, what will happen is I will still end up getting bad marks because I have already told myself I will get bad marks. So, this game the mind plays, and a lot of us who are very intelligent, we will have more chatter inside the mind. And we are not able to control this chatter, and we start thinking and believing that this chatter is us. Mind is not us. Please remove that wrong conception from your mind that the mind is you. The mind is not at all you. The mind is just randomly chatting something. You are the person who can observe the mind, and that's what the difference is between you and the mind. So you are not the mind, you are not the heart, you are actually the soul inside a person. Now it's very difficult to kind of understand this, but if you do meditation, for example, you can observe yourself, what is happening. Oh, today I went there and I started speaking. Or when you are speaking, if you observe, okay, what is happening inside my body? I'm getting angry. Why? I'm having sweaty palms, or there is some discomfort in my body. The moment I become aware of my body, that awareness is me. The person doing it or what may not be me, but actually my awareness is me. And awareness will only come when I observe. The only thing you have to do in life to change is observe. If you will observe, you will find out things about yourself which you will otherwise not know. So for example, how will I know that I am positive energy or not? Observe. Am I attracting the right people in my life? How do people behave with me? Are negative people coming in my life? Am I attracting wrong relationships, wrong people in my life? That is all negative energy. Negativity is very powerful, and it is more powerful than positivity, which is why negativity attracts negativity and more negative things much more than positivity. And positivity is very difficult. Positivity, therefore you'll see all this motivational talks do so well. Why? Because everybody wants positivity and they're not able to sustain it. Because positivity will come, but then the chatter of the mind will start. No, you will fail. And you can't overcome it because you start believing that the mind is you, which is first person. When you get stuck in that chatter. That's the first person. That's where you get stuck there. You have to move from second to third person. Eventually, if you move to third person, you will always have a happy life. You will see people who are always happy all the time. is because they're not impacted by what's happening around them. Very few people are there in this world who are happy. I mean, in the East, at least in the East, the good part is if you go to Northeast, you will find a lot of happy people. I don't know how it is now, but when I used to go to Shillong, Assam, all those places, Mizoram, Imphal, those places, people were very happy all the time because they did not have such big, they were very, very happy with the happiness. They wanted to remain in that state. Now we all want some big things in our life, and the big things come with these big things called fears, and fears then bring failures. So the joy in the moment. Why is the child happy and laughing so beautifully? That is because the child is experiencing joy. And as we grow up, we stop experiencing joy in our lives. It all becomes about responsibilities, what I want to earn, how much I want to become, I want to become an engineer or doctor or whatever, and I want a big job in a big company. And that's what it becomes. And that is why we lose our way. I hope that answers your question. Okay, any other questions anybody else has?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
So it can be a out of the box question, but like as you have said, the mind is not us. So how can we deal with our mind when the mind is continuously sending us the negative thoughts, and like we can't overcome from the challenging thoughts?
Beautiful. What is your name?
So Manjulika Vashak.
Manjulika. Very nice question, Manjulika. Now, see, why does this happen? Just think for a minute. Because, see, the mind is basically, its function is only to think, right? There is no other function the mind has. It will keep thinking randomly stuff, right? Now, the question is, how do I reduce the chatter? A very simple method I will share with you. Suppose somebody enters your house, Manjulika, rings the doorbell, and let's assume do you have an eye hole in your door to see who is coming?
No, sir.
Okay, let's assume you have a eye hole. You can see who's coming. And let's say the
Okay.
person rings the bell and outside you see a person with a big gun. Will you open the door?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, but do you know what you are doing? You are not only opening the door to the negative thoughts, but calling them inside and saying, come have tea, coffee. I'll give you Darjeeling tea. And then you're giving tea, and then the thought says, come, I will take you out now. And then the thought takes us for a beautiful ride. So basically, the thought will go away only when you ignore. The moment you give importance to the thoughts, so suppose a thought comes, Manjulika, you will fail. The moment you will say, oh my God, I will fail. And then you start to give importance to the thought, it will become bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like a baby dinosaur, you're feeding it every day. One day it will become big dinosaur, it will eat you up. You're getting it? Did you understand, Manjulika? Hello. You have to unmute, I think so.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. My microphone was not working.
No worries. You understood?
Yes, sir.
So if if a bad thought comes in your mind, you have to just put a hashtag bad and just look as if it's not there only. If somebody with a gun is ringing your bell, in COVID we used to maintain social distance, right? Why can't we maintain social distance from the thoughts and just let it go? The moment you don't pay attention to a thought, it will vanish instantly. You can try it out, which is what is meditation. Basically, it means that the moment a thought comes, I see, okay, thought is coming. This is trying to come and trap me. I'm going to look away. I'm not going to pay attention to it. I'm not going to get involved in it. Now, this is very difficult. Also, remember one thing, that very, very intelligent people, you start to kind of get engaged in that loop, and then you are not able to break the loop. But this thing is that if over time you don't crack this problem, it will just increase, and it leads to depression only in the end. Which is why India, I don't know if you all know, India is number 2 on the mental health issues in the world. And India is also the second most unhappy nation in the world. Because really, we are always thinking about what we want. And if we don't get it, we start to become unhappy. And we keep telling us, oh, you are going to fail. This is going to happen. This is bad is going to happen. And all of this comes from our childhood. Because in our childhood, we were never encouraged. We were never told that, oh, it's okay to fail. Enjoy it. Go ahead. Fail in your class. Even if you fail in your life, it is fine. I mean, that's what we were never told. And because of that, this is what's happening. And you will be surprised. I'm coaching leaders today, and everybody is going through mental health issues. 90% of the people in India are going through mental health issues. It starts with very little, like one bad thought, and then slowly it starts to increase. And then eventually it becomes so big that we can't do anything about it. And we get in a loop. We get stuck in a loop. I hope that answers, Manjulika. And
Yes,
then,
sir. Thank you so
yeah.
much, sir.
Any other question anybody else has? And whatever we try to run away from will happen in life. At least from my, I was very scared I'll lose my job, I was very scared I'll lose money, I was very scared I'll become bankrupt, all these things, right? And I just pasted a post also. But all of the bad things in my life I thought actually happened. That's because I attracted them. And then only then I realized, oh, I am attracting all these bad things. It's not that bad things are happening to me, it's me who's causing it. So all we need to do is we need to rise above the problem, and we need to start thinking, okay, this is just some chatter in the head. Just ignore it and move ahead in your life. Also, many times we are always thinking about what other people will think about me. I think the founder also mentioned somebody's beta, or padosi neighbor's beta and all of that. They are doing so well. So these comparisons are all rubbish. Those people who have to do big things in their lives, they don't get bothered about these comparisons. In fact, they become absolutely, I remember when I was doing my own work and I was failing, I used to sit in my drawing room and write. And one day one person was going by, he said, what do you do? I said, I write. He said, do you make any money out of writing? I said, no. So then he started to laugh at me. He said, then why are you doing this? You're wasting your time. So, our mindset is, middle class mindset is this only, that you have to do, achieve every time. And you'll be surprised that after 1 year after I went viral, that same person came to my house and he asked me, I'm also very frustrated with my life. Can you also tell me how I can become a writer like this? So that is what it is, right? When you're doing it, hundreds of people are going to tell you, question you, you're doing the wrong thing or whatever. So you have to start to stand up for yourself. And you should be okay with failure. It's okay if you go 3-4 years behind. In fact, I think when I was 30, I think when I was 27, I was behind by all my colleagues, everybody, by almost 7, 5, 7, 8 years. So basically, and whenever I used to compare, I used to feel horrible that, okay, I'm such a failure. But in the long run, none of these things really matter. What really matters is, are you learning every day? Every single day, you have to change yourself. You have to grow and change and learn. People should come to you and tell you that the Sandeep or the Manjulika or anybody or Sudip that I met 10 years back, you are not the same person at all. Basically, then you will come to know you are really changing. If people say, oh, you are just the same when you were in childhood, you are just the same as you are now, then there is a problem. It means you are not changing fast enough. The only thing constant is going to be change. And if you get stuck to a particular job, a particular location, a particular security, a particular something, a particular money, you're never going to be able to break that pattern. And these patterns are so strong that they can really make a dent in your life also. Any questions at this point? Anybody else has any question? I'm going to stop sharing if there's any other questions anybody has.
Sir, how to analyze how big the problem is?
So see, I think easy way of doing analyzing the problem is journaling. Journaling का मतलब होता है कि I take a piece of paper and write down all the problems. Right? You write down all the problems, you write down all your negative thoughts, you write down all your negative feelings, and then you find out, okay, what are the pros and cons? Where am I getting stuck? Now, if you can't find out, then you ask people around you. Take feedback from people around you and ask them, where do you think I am getting stuck? Why am I not able to move forward in my life? For example, some people procrastinate a lot. I don't know how many people here procrastinate, but procrastination basically comes from fear. We are fearful that we will fail, so we procrastinate and say, okay, I will not do it today, kal karunga, parso karunga, I'll keep doing it after a few days because I'm scared I will fail. So I think the simple method would be to put down all your problems in your life on a piece of paper and then really logically see, okay, where am I failing, what is really happening, how can I change it? Does that help, Prajal?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Any other questions anybody else has?
So, what would be the key of consistency to maintain the continuity in the process?
Wonderful. So I have a very simple formula for this. It's called DOTS, dots. Do one thing surely. So for example, when I was writing, I started writing 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, and just keep going. But you can start with small baby steps. So for example, let's say you want to study regularly and you're not able to study. Then you say, okay, fine, let me start with 1 hour a week. And slowly increase it to 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Then slowly it becomes 1 hour every day. Then slowly increase. So baby steps. What happens is we all want to climb the mountain. Straight away Darjeeling to पहुंच नहीं जाओगे, right? We all want कि straight away I should instantly reach there where I want to reach. And when we don't reach there, we feel very bad and upset. And therefore, most of people's habits fail. Most of the habits you will find it failing for this reason. The other aspect is, there's a very beautiful book on habits written by James Clear. You can read that book, but basically it talks about cue, craving, and response. So cue is a trigger. Suppose the moment I see ice cream wala, I start feeling okay, I should eat ice cream, right? That craving starts coming in. That is a craving. So suppose, the cue is you see that vendor outside, that thele wala outside, then the craving comes, and then the response is you go to him and say, please give me one ice cream, right? So similarly for this, if there's a cue, there's a craving, there's a response, the same you can do for yourself. So if you want to put a habit, okay, what should be the best way? So let's say I want to become a writer, then I have to have a desk. I have to have a very nice place, a nice room to write. I have to create. So a lot of people have very beautiful, they create the rooms, they put fancy lights and all. My son has put these lights, beautiful lights for himself. He creates a dark room so that he does. So whatever is it that it will help you become better, you need to create that environment for yourself. Let's say suppose you're not able to study in your hostel, then you need to move somewhere else. Or you need to create an environment for you where you can work hard or study hard. Similarly, for anything that you want to achieve in your life, you have to create that cue that, okay, the moment I see this, I want to do it. Now, suppose you have all the books on your table and the moment you see them, you feel, oh my God, who's going to study so much? Then, basically the cue is a negative cue and you will not be able to kind of form it. So creating an environment for yourself where you can start to enjoy the journey is very important. So, I have a proper desk. I sit only on a particular desk. I have a proper pen which I use. My notebook is fixed. Where I will sit, when I will sit, my times are also fixed. So initially when I used to write, I used to get up at 3 in the morning and I used to write. So because from 3 o'clock to around 6, 7 o'clock, there used to be no disturbance at all. Nobody will ever disturb you because everybody is sleeping. Now, if you're a night person, you can do that, but you can figure out what is the best way that you do it, and then you need to form the habits accordingly. But doing one thing surely basically means I'm going to put all the eggs in one basket, right? Now, suppose you're giving UPSC exam. If you put all the eggs in one basket, then it is gone because those exams are very difficult to clear, right? So, but you need to figure out that, okay, is there something that I really love to do and I can do that and put everything into it. So does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions anybody else has? I think we have gone over time, but I can take maybe one question more. Anybody has any other question?
So how can we deal with the destructive failure? Like it's a destructive one.
So you're saying that somebody else is destructive or you are destructive?
So it's maybe me or maybe someone, sir. How can we deal with
Okay, so let us take both the answers. So if you are destructive for yourself, it's called self-sabotage. Self-sabotage means that I have a thought which will say you will fail and you will do this bad thing or you will do this wrong thing and you will fail. So that is called self-sabotage, which basically means that I only become the cause of my failure. Now in that you have to become aware when this thought comes inside your head, you have to become aware and say, oh, again, the same thought is coming. You got to laugh at it, right? Because if you're not going to laugh at it, it's going to become serious matter for you and you will allow it to, run your life. Your mind should not be running your life. You should be running your mind. Now, the second part is that if there are other people in your life who are coming in your life who are, let's say, harming you, that is basically because you are a negative person. Only when we are negative will we attract negativity in our lives. There is no other reason. If I have even little bit of negativity, I will attract a negative person. And as I said, negativity is very powerful, positivity is not. So, basically, when you start attracting more and more negativity in your life, what happens is that, you will attract negative people. Now, for example, let's say you are very fearful of losing a relationship. Then you will always operate out of fear. Now, what will happen is, because you are fearful of losing, always you will operate and the other person will take advantage over you. That is how it will all play out. Now, there is negativity inside you, which is why you are allowing other people to become negative. And you're allowing them into your life, and then you're allowing them to influence you. So the key will be that, okay, can I become aware of this pattern, finding out all the patterns where I'm stuck in. What are the patterns in my life that are really harming me? So for example, I procrastinate, or I don't work hard, or I don't want to study, or let's say I'm not able to have a good habit, put in the good habits, I have bad habits. What is the method, what is the reason why I'm having those habits, and how can I break them? You will have to go deeper into it, find out, journal, understand, read about it, find out, then try and say, okay, I have negativity, fine. Can I build more positivity inside my system? Can I read positive books? Can I surround myself with positively, amazingly positive people who are going to change my life? If I have a negative person in my friend circle, how can I cut that person out? How can I slowly tell that person sorry, or just avoid that person completely? So I think it is a choice you will have to make every single second. Am I choosing positivity or negativity? And negativity is going to be powerful. It will pull you down. It will make you horrible, feel bad about what you're doing. It will make you fail. All of that will happen because of it. But this is a pattern of the mind. And basically, it's just the mind playing games with you. Just understand the game, and that's pretty much it. Once you will know the game, you will laugh at it. But if you start taking it seriously, then the mind will really run your life completely. And when your mind will run your life, there is no way out. Does that help, Sana?
Yes, sir. It's really helpful. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes. Any other questions? Anybody else has? I think there's something on the chat. You can always unmute and ask. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, I think we are good then.
Excuse me,
Yes,
sir.
looks like it. I think, yeah.
Sir, I have a
Yes,
question.
Surya.
Sir,
Yes,
I have
yes.
a question. One question that is, sir, there is one beautiful quote that is, "Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm." Sir, can you just explain this quote? Uh,
हाँ तो इसमें देखो बड़ा सिंपल है सूर्यतम. You understand Hindi?
yes, sir, I understand, sir.
Okay. Sorry, my Bengali is a little not very good, although I have spoken in Bengali. But basically, देखो इसमें बड़ा सिंपल है कि जब मैं फेल कर रहा हूँ तो मेरे को खराब लग रहा है, and then I become horrible, feeling bad about it. फिर उसके अंदर ही मैं चला जाता हूँ, फिर मैं ऊपर नहीं उठ पाऊंगा. I can't get up and I can't rise above it. Now, if I say, okay, it was just another failure, chalo, let's go to the next one. So journey is more important than the destination. And basically, if you can go from one failure, suppose you know that, okay, 50 failures in your life written, let's assume. Now, if I'll get disheartened in the first failure only, फिर तो game ही खत्म हो गया. So suppose, let's say I keep going, okay, next failure, next failure. After 50 also, I will keep saying next failure. And that is when I reach success. So basically, everybody has to go through a lot of failures, but you have to develop the resilience and strength to deal with it. अगर आपको मजा नहीं आ रहा है, आपको खराब लग रहा है, तो फिर लाइफ बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा. लाइफ जो है वो डिफिकल्ट तो है ही, लेकिन अगर आप ऐसे सोचोगे कि यार ये देखो 50 चीजें होंगी, 50 थिंग्स आर गोइंग टू गो बैड इन माय लाइफ, उसके बाद आई विल रीच सक्सेस, व्हिच इज फाइन. तो यू शुड नॉट कीप थिंकिंग अबाउट सक्सेस ऑल द टाइम. यू शुड रादर थिंक अबाउट व्हाट कैन आई डू टुडे, what are the actions I can take today, which are the positive actions, positive thoughts, positive feelings I will do today. It's like if you want a good body, you have to go to the gym every day. वो रोज के रोज आपको जाना ही पड़ेगा, नहीं तो बॉडी नहीं बनने वाला, राइट? और जो रोज जाते हैं वो मतलब आप दूर से देखोगे क्या स्टूपिड लोग हैं, रोज जाते हैं जिम में, बॉडी बनाते हैं. अब जैसे मेरा यहाँ जिम है, तो रोज मैं सुबह जिम जाता हूँ, तो कोई नहीं होता है सुबह 5:30 बजे, कोई आता ही नहीं है, सब सो रहे होते हैं, क्योंकि वो रात को पार्टी कर रहे होंगे, या रात को वो लोग काम कर रहे होंगे, सुबह उनको उठना नहीं है. तो ये जो चॉइसेस हैं लाइफ में, और जो चीजें बोली गई हैं, जैसे गुड हैबिट्स जो होती हैं, वो गुड हैबिट्स ही होती हैं, और गुड हैबिट्स आर द ओनली वे यू कैन डील विद फेलियर. देयर इज एक्शन के बिना आप नहीं निकल पाओगे. डज इट हेल्प यू, सूर्यतम?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Anybody has any other question? All good? Okay, thanks a lot. I hope this was useful to all of you, and I hope you all can take back some of this. I think the first, second, third person is if you can even implement that in your life, that is the best way to kind of overcome and rise above failure, and have positive thoughts and positive feelings. Start watching what is happening inside your head. ये games जो है mind खेलता है उसको आप observe करना शुरू कर लो, and that will help you break all your patterns. Become aware कि क्या patterns हो रहे हैं, मैं कहाँ फंस रहा हूँ, what is happening, and then that will help you emerge from all of this. So yeah, over back to you, Sudeep and Abhinandan. I think it was a pleasure interacting with your students.
Thank you so much. It was an extremely enlightening session. I think we touched on some, valid points, and I would love the discussions that have happened from our students' end as well. And what we have basically understood is, there's a nice quote. I don't know who has said the quote, but it says, "Success is not final, and failure is not fatal." So that's very important to keep in mind. That even if we succeed, there is a step to go further, and even if we fail, we can always get up and start again. That's very important. And it's important to look at failure objectively and not be too bogged down by it. Thank you so much for giving us the DOTS framework as well. Over to Mr. Bhattacharya for the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Sandeep, to be very honest, it is one of the finest speeches, rather a discussion, and the way you have engaged with the students. I must say it is wonderful. I must say, okay. Number one. Number two, the basic takeaway from my understanding is, how what are the techniques one can implement in one's life to achieve a desired goal. Although you are basically taking goal away and making more about a play, it is more a less a game, more a play. That's what you have tried to highlight. It had been an honor to be a part of this wonderful event. For me, honestly speaking, it had been a privilege to be a part of this wonderful event. And on behalf of the organization, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to you, and thank you so much. And also, I sincerely thank to the heads of the various departments who have handled the event throughout. Means my colleagues are there. Some of them I'll name you. There are so many of them. Shakur Abdul is my dear colleague. Bindu Viswas is my dear colleague, who are very close to it. And also my other HODs like Mr. Deepak Viswas, Deepak Chaudhary, and Shweta, and also my other teachers like Sharan. They have all been a part of this at the back end to make it successful. And finally, I would like to thank all of you who are present here, and to help this events become a grand success. And thank you once and for all. And I'm sure that Sandeep, which is the beginning, we will definitely build upon this as I have discussed with you in the beginning. And thank you once again. And keep in touch. I will be keeping in touch with you as well. Okay.
Thank you so much, and wish you all the best, and hope you all enjoy your failures from today.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Thank you.
thank you so much,
Bless you
sir.
all. Thank
Wish
you.
you all the
Bye bye.
Have
wish you all.
a
Bye
good
bye.
day.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day.